as well as in Ramadan. And subhanAllah, we know that during under, such circumstances, there are a variety of things that can cause family dynamics to really be exaggerated. There are a number of um, family interactions that are really heightened. There's a heightened sensitivity around the current situation. Number one, because we are in social isolation for many people. I know that we're slowly opening up, but there's still many, many restrictions that a lot of families are undergoing. In addition to, if we add Ramadan on top of it, of course, with everybody doing their best to be have good character and be on their best behavior, but still just the dynamics of hunger, as well as what happens when families come together and there's a lot of responsibility. So currently, under COVID-19 restrictions, there are people have young children. Parents have young children that they're having the responsibility of not just being the mom for, but now they've become the homeschool teacher. In addition to being the homeschool teacher, they've also become the social interactions. They've become the company. A lot of parents are also experiencing that their college students are home from college, even unexpectedly. And of course, those college students who are now home unexpectedly, they have a number of pressures that are on their shoulders as it relates to their classes, the adjustment of classes going online, what that schedule looks like, trying to maintain and manage a schedule like that while also dealing with family. And then if we were to combine, if we were to put together, there are even some families who have young children in the home while also having college children in the home. And it's not only the amount of responsibility, but there's also a number of emotional challenges that come along with the dynamic that we're in. There are a number of disappointments that are happening as it relates to graduation, not being able to celebrate certain things the way that we had hoped and been planning for a number of months, sometimes even years, not also being able to have just simple social outlets where we're able to kind of relieve stress, kind of go to our friends, go to our separate corners. And so with all of these dynamics happening, it can really be a very, very stressful time for families. And so how do we navigate? How do we begin to work with each other in order to create that peaceful dynamic that we're all craving, that we all need, in order for these last 10 days of Ramadan to be not only peaceful, but to be the spiritual experience that we're all looking for, so that we can be able to connect to our Lord, that we can be able to have a relationship that provides some level of transcendence of our circumstance, and of course, some kind of transformation that we're all hoping that comes from these last 10 days of Ramadan. And it requires a number of things. The first couple of 5 things I'd like to say that family dynamics during these times that are just an absolute must. And that is, everyone must respect each other's place. Now, what do I mean by that? Everyone must respect each other's place. Of course, we know that the Quran, as well as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is constantly reminding us, of course, about birrul walidain, the righteousness towards our parents, giving them the respect that is due to any parent. Right? They're making sure that we are in service to them, that we're gentle with them, that we speak words of kindness to them, and that we make sure that we don't turn them into our servants in the home, but that we're doing our very best to relieve some of the responsibilities that they have. But here's another dynamic, is that subhanAllah, also in Islam, children have a number of rights. And it depends on also the age of that particular child. For example, a child that is a college age student is not the same as an elementary student, especially if that college age student has been living away from home. a lot of times inside of that dynamic, the college student who's a member of the family has been managing a number of responsibilities. They have exercised a high level of autonomy, a high level of adulting, where they're responsible for their own schedule. They're managing their own affairs. Many times they're managing in terms of budget. They're practicing their own safety precautions in the goings and comings of their life. And so then to come back inside of a household where they're oftentimes not seen for all the adulting that they have been doing. A lot of times it's not recognized, all the responsibility and all of the not just responsibility, but the accountability they have been showing in order for them to be successful in their college life. So coming back home into a dynamic where many times parents just kind of see them as, this is my baby, this is my young child, and begin to treat them with a level of relationship that's actually due to a younger child. And naturally, this can create some headbutting, right? There's going to be a headbutting because now you're talking about two adults in the house. What does Allah and His Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam have to say about this? Well, of course, there's always going to be a level of respect that is due to the parents. That's without question. Do not even, speak, words of oof to them, like just being annoyed with them, but to be gentle and to be kind. But at the same time, the Prophet ﷺ said that when the child reaches the state of being legally responsible, when they're baligh, right, that baligh comes with a respect of that human autonomy, comes with a certain also a leaning into that, even though as a parent it may be very difficult to do, to kind of see the one that you've given birth to, the one that you've taken care of, actually have actually be able to have certain rights in the home, to be able to speak up for themselves, of course, in a respectful manner, but to listen. And so this, in order for this relationship to work, there has to be a mutual respect and a mutual listening that happens on both sides. Why? So that there can be a mutual love, so that there can be peace in the home, and so that this relationship grows into one that is mutual and reciprocal, but also so this relationship grows into the maturation of a parent and child relationship that's not based on an adult and a very young child, right? But an adult and now an adult child. And that has a very different dynamic. There's a lot of learning that can happen through this process. And if it is done well through effective communication, which requires there to be listening and there to be speaking, kind communication where someone is speaking and then there's a reflection of what's heard, and that happens as a result of active listening, and then being able to respect what are the boundaries that are set on either side. Now, this may be something that we kind of say, is this something that is from our deen? When we look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even when Fatima Zahra radiallahu ta'ala was young, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would do something that was very beautiful and showed a high level of emotional intelligence. Is that when Fatima Zahra, may Allah be pleased with her, would enter into a room, he would see her, he would smile, his face would light up. He would then stand up, even if he was in a circle of men, a halakha of men, and his daughter would enter into a room. He would see her light up, smile. He would motion for her to come to where he was. He would kiss her blessed hand, and then he would have Fatima Zahra sit in his place. Now, what does this say about the relationship between the Prophet ﷺ and the growing Fatima, who he later, when our beloved mother Khadija, may Allah be pleased with her, passed away, he named her the mother after his mother, right? He named her, the mother of her father. And at this point, she was about 12 or 13 years old when her mother, may Allah be pleased with her, passed away. What he teaches us in this parent-child relationship is, number one, he had a level of love and an expression of that love, a physical expression of that love for her. And it was one where he didn't shun her away, right? It was one where he invited her into certain company, and then he let her know, not only do you have my approval to be in this space, but that you also have your own individual place in it. And so that was extremely, of course, important, but also very empowering for the young Fatima Zahra. May Allah be pleased with her. The other aspect in the narration, the reason he would call her the mother of her father, was he recognized that her level of nurturing and the level of maturity that had to happen when her mother passed away, but he recognized that in her, that she had matured, that she was exercising a level of responsibility, a level of accountability, and a level of caretaking of her even of her father, right? And so in recognizing that, yes, you are the child, but I'm recognizing your maturity. I'm recognizing your level of responsibility. And there's a deference to that. Right? And so with this, the Prophet ﷺ is really teaching us volumes about what our relationship between parent and child has to be at that particular level. Now, the other thing is that how do we help each other? How do we say we're one family? And the number one way that we help each other is basically we acknowledge where each other is at the time. Meaning that if I look to my mother and I recognize, or I look to my father and I recognize there's a high level of emotional stress in this home. There's a high level of stress possibly as it relates to finances, as it relates to provisions and their ability to provide. Sometimes it can just be as it relates to, just having everyone into one physical space. And we'll get to address that in a minute. There's also a lot of times, because there are more people in the house, there's a lot of responsibilities as it relates to household chores. And so what's important is to be able to look to each other on each side of the equation and say, I see you. I recognize your struggle. I see that you need help, and I'm going to rise to the occasion to make your life easier. That this ultimately is one of the jobs of a family. The role of family members is, how do we help each other? How do we make our lives easier? And so whether or not, of course, no, maybe you didn't do it while, you were at school or you were busy with homework, but now there's more laundry than usual. Now people are cooking 3 meals a day when before maybe people could go out, or there are a number of things that are just increased in responsibility. So being able to say, I see you and I'm going to help out. I'm going to be there without even having to be told. Because being told can also create some level of dynamics, right? So taking that initiative to say, I see you, I know my place in this family, my place in this family is to help out. I'm a member of this team, right? And in order for this team to be successful, let me play my role on the team. Let me play my role. Let me play my position on the team. And then, so this is one aspect. Another aspect is even with those who are considered dependents, the children. A lot of times these children it might be a lot of work that they need to turn in for school. It may be a lot of work that they even need to concentrate on, whether it's online learning or whatever it is, papers that they're writing, and being able to say, I see that you also have these responsibilities. I see that you're also working toward a certain goal. I see you, I recognize that, and how can I also make your life easier to help you move toward your success and help you grow to that next stage in your life, right? So this is another aspect of that. Then, of course, if there are younger siblings in the home who are also doing online learning, or maybe they're, working on some projects, how can we as family members be able to say, let me help you with your work. Let me help you with whatever project you're working on. And there needs to be recognition that everyone's life has changed. Everyone. right? That even as we are suffering the consequences of not having our social interactions, every single person inside of that family, from the youngest to the oldest, is also feeling that difference, is also feeling that change in their life, that they're not able to communicate with their friends. Sometimes if we're not interacting with each other in a healthy way, sometimes this kind of forces us to social media, forces us into our phones, forces us into the computers, which, if that's done over a long period of time without healthy interaction, this can create more feelings of loneliness, deeper feelings of isolation, especially if you're feeling like I'm emotionally isolated from the people I'm present with, but yet I'm more emotionally connected to the people that I'm not present with. That can create a very dangerous emotional void for people that we have to be very, very careful about, making sure that we're careful with each other's heart and gentle with each other in recognizing each other's struggle. That please take the time to recognize that everybody's life has changed. Everybody is undergoing some level of stress at their level. And no, never think that your stress is more difficult than someone else's, right? It's based upon your level, your stage and your place in life and what you can handle. And so again, recognizing that for other people. The other thing is, in order to manage all of those household responsibilities where I'm looking out for you, you're looking out for me, I'm getting my work done, helping you get your work done, there must be a schedule. Must be a schedule. There must be something that everyone can look to. It should be possibly posted on the refrigerator, posted somewhere on the front door, where everyone can see this is where mom is at this time. She's doing her online work. This is where Khadija is at this time. She's in her online classes, but I can count on her for helping me out with iftar at this time on this date. This is where little sister or little brother is vacuuming at this time. This is where they're doing homework. There must be a schedule. Right? And then inside of that schedule, where we're able to see where everybody is engaged or active, or where we can come together on certain household chores, there must be a respect of that time. It can't be a situation where I look at the schedule and I ignore what's important to you. No. Even though it may not be where I am in my life, but I have to be able to respect that it is important to you and where you are in your life and where you are in the stage of your success. That is what's going to decrease each other's stress level, going to increase love bonds, going to increase respect, going to increase that mutual consultation and feeling of family, especially during these days of Ramadan. The next aspect is that for all that time in that we scheduled, time in for work, time in for online classes, time in for projects, time in for household chores, time in for vacuuming or doing the dishes or making iftar, there also must be time for checkout. There must be time where everyone has some moment of time alone. Everyone, for their own mental peace, needs time alone. They need a moment where they can step back, they can breathe, they can pray, they can cry, they can think, they can ponder, they can reflect what's happening next with my life. They can think, they can actually cry about what didn't happen, what disappointments they're feeling, whether it's about I'm not going to be able to go to graduation, or I'm not going to be able to, there's certain rites of passages that happen at this time of year. It's going to go to prom with my friends. That's not going to happen. Or what's going to happen in school. Everyone needs that moment to reflect on their own life. And we all, a lot of times, particularly within Black family dynamics, a lot of times we think, oh, what you're doing is not that important. oh, if you don't have these bills to pay, if you don't have to pay the mortgage, if you're not worried about the car, if you're not worried about this, then what you're doing, that's not important. But in reality, it is important. And being able to respect those boundaries in terms of what's important at someone's stages of their life is going to help them mature and have the emotional strength and emotional stability to be able to handle the next stage of life. That is very important, that we don't dismiss each other's concerns, dismiss each other's need for time alone, time to breathe. Everyone needs that. How can we help facilitate that sometimes for each other? Trust me, mama needs a time to breathe as well. Sometimes we just look at mom as like, mom is going to always be mom. She's going to always be able to cook for us or be there for us or, help us out. I remember my mom used to tell us, she's like, I'm changing my name. I'm no longer mama. She's like, I'm changing my name and I'm not going to tell any of you. And it just meant that she was overwhelmed and she would be, a little bit tired with everybody going, Mama, do you have this? Mama, can you help me with that? Mama, can you iron my shirt? Mama, what are we having for dinner? Mama, can you help me with my project? Even moms need a break. They're human too. So being able to look at them and say, let me give my mom a break. Let me help her out with this. Or even dad. I see my dad is busy with this. I see he's concerned about that. I see he's active over here doing this. When also can we facilitate an opportunity for a break? And the other thing is there must be time that is non-work for each other, right? Like whether it's a family game, it's a family, what are the highs and lows of your day over dinner, whether it just has to be some downtime with family that's non-critical, non-judgmental, without giving demands and commands or criticism. Sit up, straighten up, any of that, just time in with each other where there's opportunity for laughter, maybe inshallah singing that nasheed together. There has to be time of just lightheartedness together as a family. It's extremely important, especially as each one of us need the emotional strength. We need the spiritual availability to be able to connect to our Lord during this month of Ramadan, during this time, right? And just to be able to have the mind, the heart free enough to pray, to make sujood, to read Quran, to give each other some space to do that. So with all of that being said, these are just a couple of reminders in terms of as we look at our family dynamics during COVID-19 and during Ramadan, right? Do your best at this time to forgive each other for our shortcomings, for our mistakes, for the holes in our own upbringing, for the holes in our own understanding. Sometimes what we learned in our life may not be what other people learn, right? There might be some, new aspect that I've come in contact or I've read about or that I've learned about. And so that's something I can kindly and gently bring to my family dynamic without shoving it down their throat, but then recognizing that my parents come from a different generation. My children come from a different generation. And there's something that can be learned and benefited from both of those generations. And there is room for both. But in addition to that, there has to be respect for both. That there's no absolute one way is the absolute way, and this new way you're coming with would never work. The old way, that old school way, would never work. How is there room for both of us inside this family dynamic? There has to be room in the heart for both of them, and to recognize that there might be something I know that you don't know, but I love you anyway. I can attribute it to your experience. I don't have to necessarily attribute it to your character. There may be something that you know I don't know. And I don't attribute it to your character. I don't condemn your character. I attribute it to your upbringing or your circumstances. And when I see that might be missing in someone else, I don't use that as a moment to criticize or as a moment to condemn, but just as a moment to accept and to be lovingly present. Family dynamics can really be challenging in moments like this. And it's something that, subhanAllah, we have to go back to Surah Al-Luqman, both of us on both sides. Like, how do we give advice, receive advice, but more importantly, in all of the advice of Luqman to his son, is that to seek help. If you seek help from Allah. As Allah reminded us, Ista'anu billah bisabri wa salah. Seek help from Allah through patience and in prayer. And never give up on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his ability to intervene and to assist in the family. His ability to intervene and to help in matters of the heart. It takes a lot for us as we've been functioning with each other for as long as we've been alive. It takes a lot sometimes within a family to be patient with each other. And when it's challenging for us to be patient, what's most important is, can we be kind? Can we be gentle? Can we be considerate? Can we be understanding? And when that's challenging, can we be quiet? Can we be quiet, take a breath, and just find a moment to not speak? SubhanAllah, sometimes not speak. See, silence is golden, right? Sometimes that is a virtue. Sometimes it is the preventer between escalating a small situation, a small argument, into a very larger one. And so those are my only pointers for tonight as it relates to family dynamics during COVID-19 and during Ramadan. Recognize this. Pray for each other. Pray for each other. Never give up on the ability for Allah to assist us in all dynamics of our life. May Allah Ta'ala bless all of your family dynamics, whether they be between husband and wife, between parent and younger child, parent and older child. Recognize that what is it that we want? We all want love, to be accepted, to be heard, to feel a sense of belonging, especially with those that we are directly connected to. And so again, do your best to be loving and seek Allah's help. Jazakumullah al khair. May Allah Ta'ala grant us success during this month of Ramadan. Accept your du'as, accept your fasting. May Allah Ta'ala grant you ease in all of your family life. Assalamu alaikum.